Disseminate. প্রচারিত করা, ছড়িয়ে দেওয়া. Disseminate means to spread information, knowledge, and opinions widely. Semen derives from the Latin word for seed. The idea of dissemination is that information travels like seed sown by a farmer. A teacher distributing a handout at the beginning of a class. The dis of disseminate and distribute come from the same Latin prefix which means apart, in a different direction. But unlike papers distributed in class, information, once spread around in all directions, cannot be pulled back in. Think about false rumors or political smear campaigns, and you'll understand that dissemination is usually a one-way process.
Synonym.
Advertise. Circulate. Disperse. Propagate. Publicize. Publish.
Daunt.
ভীত করা, দমন করা, ভয় দেখানো.
Daunt means to frighten or scare off. The Cowardly Lion's efforts to daunt Dorothy, the Scarecrow, and the Tin Man were less than successful. Daunt rhymes with haunt, another word which means to frighten, though in a creepier sense. Walking through your neighbor's haunted house on Halloween might daunt your little brother, even though he's unlikely to encounter anything scarier than plastic skeletons and ghosts made of sheets. Daunt often shows up as part of the adjective undaunted, which describes someone who remains unafraid or perseveres in the face of scary circumstances.
Synonym.
Appall, baffle, deter, dismay, despirit, horrify, intimidate, subdue, terrify.
Antonym.
Calm, comfort, delight, encourage, hearten, help, inspirit. Decorum.
শালীনতা, ভদ্রতা, শোভনতা, শ্রেষ্ঠ.
Decorum is proper and polite behavior. If you let out a big belch at a fancy dinner party, you're not showing much decorum. This noun is from Latin decus proper, becoming, handsome, from decor beauty, grace, which is also the source of English decor. The corresponding adjective is decorous, meaning well-behaved in a particular situation. Both decorum and decorous are often used to describe behavior in a classroom or courtroom.
Synonym.
Civility, correctness, decency, demeanor, dignity, gentility, orderliness.
Antonym.
Immorality, impropriety, rudeness, unsuitableness, wrong, bad manners, disorganization, indecency. Default.
অক্ষমতা, অনুপস্থিতি, ত্রুটি, অপরাধ.
As a setting, a default is automatic. You weren't sure why your new TV kept returning to the factory defaults until you realized you were sitting on the remote. Default can also refer to a lack of other options. You shop at Greens by default, it's the only grocery store in town. Default is also a failure to pay a financial obligation. The number of loan defaults was down this month. As a verb, it means to fail to pay. Your credit score will go down if you default on a loan.
Synonym.
Delinquency, non-payment, absence, blemish, blunder, dirt.
Antonym.
Abundance, accuracy, achievement, adequacy, advantage, deference.
সম্মান, বশ্যতা স্বীকার, বাধ্যতা, মানিয়ে নেওয়া.
You wear ripped jeans to school every day, but you don't wear them to your grandmother's house out of deference to her. When you show deference to someone, you make a gesture of respect. The noun deference goes with the verb defer, which means to yield to someone's opinions or wishes out of respect for that person. If you and your dad disagree about the best route to the grocery store, You might defer to him and take his route. You're taking his route out of deference to his opinion and greater experience.
Synonym.
Yielding, acquiescence, capitulation, complaisance, condescension, docility, obeisance, submission,
Antonym.
dishonor, disobedience, disregard, ignorance, impoliteness, non-compliance. Delineate,
বর্ণনা করা, চিত্রিত করা।
though you pronounce it delineate, there is a line in the middle of delineate. This might help you remember that to delineate is to outline and define something in detail or with an actual marking of lines and boundaries. When you create an outline for a paper, it usually summarizes what you will detail later. You delineate the sections or mark the heading lines, and when you write the details, you delineate the subject of each heading. So, to delineate is both to mark lines and to fill in the lines. Using a fence to divide properties or a carpet to claim your side of the bedroom also is a way to delineate or mark physical boundaries.
Synonym.
Define, depict, lay out, limn, characterize, chart.
Antonym.
Confuse, distort, denigrate,
অপমান করা, কলঙ্কিত করা, হে করা।
to denigrate is to say bad things, true or false, about a person or thing. Your reputation as a math whiz might be hurt if your jealous classmate manages to denigrate you, even though the accusations are unfounded. The verb denigrate comes from the Latin word denigrate, which means to blacken. To sully or defame someone's reputation, or to spread negative or hurtful information about a company or a situation, is to denigrate it. Your neighbors may denigrate your proposal for mandatory recycling in an attempt to stop your plan. Denigrate can also mean that you're making something seem less important, like when your brother tries to denigrate your athletic achievements.
Synonym.
Besmirch, defame, disparage, impugn, slander, vilify, asperse.
Antonym.
Approve, commend, compliment, flatter, praise, laud, boast, cherish. Deride,
উপহাস করা, ঠাট্টা করা, বিদ্রূপ করা।
the verb deride means to speak to someone with contempt or show a low opinion of someone or something. A bully might constantly deride other kids in his class, which might lead to many afternoons spent in the principal's office. To ride people is to get on their case or give them a hard time, and to deride is to do the same with insulting language or poor treatment. Deride comes from the Latin root deridere, meaning to ridicule, to scorn, and it's often used to express dislike or even hatred. Criticizing something with words is a common way to deride, and politicians often deride each other in their speeches during election campaigns.
Synonym.
Disdain, disparage, mock, ridicule, scoff, scorn, taunt.
Antonym.
Admire, approve, compliment, flatter, praise, respect, commend, revere. Derivative,
অমৌলিক, ব্যুৎপন্ন, উৎপন্ন।
as a noun, a derivative is a kind of financial agreement or deal. As an adjective, though, derivative describes something that borrows heavily from something else that came before it. The economic meltdown of the last decade is due largely to the mismanagement of derivatives, which are deals based on the outcome of other deals.
Synonym.
Cognate, secondary, subordinate, acquired, ancestral, caused, connate, copied, evolved,
Antonym.
important, superior, inventive, original, unborrowed, unique, desiccate,
শুষ্ক করা, শুষ্ক হওয়া, শুকনো।
The verb desiccate means to dry out, dry up and dehydrate. It's helpful to desiccate weeds but certainly not crops. As anyone who's been stuck in the desert will tell you, being desiccated by the burning sun isn't much fun. Stemming from the Latin word desiccare, which means to dry up, desiccate also means to preserve something by drying it out. Without desiccation, raisins or beef jerky would not be possible.
Synonym.
Dehydrate, deplete, devitalize, divest, drain, dry, evaporate, exsiccate, parch,
Antonym.
dampen, expand, fill, grow, moisten, soak, wet, moisturize. Desultory,
অপ্রয়োজনীয়, অসংলগ্ন, অবাস্তব, এলোমেলো।
if you lack a definite plan or purpose and flit from one thing to another, your actions are desultory. Some people call such desultory wandering spontaneous. Others call it being lost. The adjective desultory comes from the word desultor, which was a circus rider who would leap from the back of one galloping horse onto another. From this literal sense of jumping from one thing to another, we get the modern meaning of desultory as jumping between things without a logical purpose.
Synonym.
Aimless, chaotic, erratic, haphazard, chance, deviating, orderless, rambling,
Antonym.
organized, systematic.
Disabuse.
ভুল ধারণা বা মোহ থেকে মুক্ত করা।
Disabuse means to free someone of a belief that is not true. Many teachers of health find that when they teach, they spend as much energy disabusing kids of false beliefs as they do giving them the facts. Disabuse is often connected to the word notion or idea. In singing lessons, you must disabuse young singers of the idea that they can sing better by singing louder. In the first year of college, many people are disabused of the notion that their experiences are universal by meeting so many people who have had different experiences or come from different backgrounds.
Synonym.
Debunk, disillusion, enlighten, correct, disenchant. Discerning.
বিচক্ষণ,
Discerning people pick up on subtle traits and are good judges of quality. They are the ones who can tell if your cupcakes are homemade from the finest ingredients or totally from a box mix. Discerning is an adjective that comes from the Old French discerner, meaning to distinguish between, separate by sifting, which makes sense, because someone with discerning tastes or a discerning eye is good at distinguishing the good from the bad and sifting out the gems from the junk. If you're an ace at picking out fabulous fabrics, accessories, and shoes when you get dressed each morning, you probably have a discerning fashion sense.
Synonym.
Astute, insightful, knowledgeable, critical, gnostic, ingenious, intelligent, judicious, wise,
Antonym.
idiotic, ignorant, stupid, unaware, unintelligent, disregardful.
Discordant, অসঙ্গতিপূর্ণ, ঐক্যহীন, বেতালা, বিরোধী. If you believe that movies should entertain, but your friend insists that movies should inspire, then the two of you hold discordant views on the purpose of movies. That means your opinions are in conflict. You can see the word discord in discordant. Discord is tension felt between people who strongly disagree about something. So discordant describes experiencing discord, a lack of harmony. A discordant conversation at your dinner table may make some people upset. They want everyone to get along. Discordant can also describe harsh and unpleasant sounds, like the blaring horns in city traffic.
Synonym.
Cacophonous, clashing, dissonant, divergent, jarring, strident.
Antonym.
Similar, agreeable, agreeing, concordant, cooperating, harmonious. Discredit, অসম্মান, হেলাফেলা, অনাদর, উপেক্ষা. Discredit means to cause mistrust or cast the accuracy of something into doubt. If you say that schooling is important to you, but you never study, your actions discredit you and your words. You discredit what someone says when you choose not to believe it. You can discredit the rumors going around about your boyfriend if you are sure of his love. On a more personal level, you discredit people when you cast their authority or reputation into doubt. If you're running a tough race for class president, your opponent may try to discredit you by talking about your failures or even making up lies about you.
Synonym.
Defame, degrade, disgrace, disparage, disprove, slander, smear, vilify.
Antonym.
Approve, build, commend, compliment, construct, create, excel, flatter, honor.
Dissemble. ছদ্মবেশ ধারণ করা, গোপন রাখা.
To dissemble is to try to deceive someone. Your little brother tried to dissemble when you asked if he ate the last donut, but the chocolate icing on his face gave him away. Dissemble is a little more complicated than a straight lie or denial. When you dissemble, you disguise your true intentions or feelings behind a false appearance. To dissemble is to pretend that you don't know something, to pretend that you think one way when you act another way.
Usage examples.
He worked for 6 months at that company before they discovered he was dissembling. He had lied on his application about his credentials and education.
Synonym.
Camouflage, counterfeit, cover, dissimulate, fake, falsify, feign, hide, mask.
Antonym.
Disclose, divulge, expose, lay bare, let out, open, reveal. Dissolution, বিচ্ছেদ, দ্রবণ, দ্রবীভবন. The dissolution of a relationship means that it's broken up or ended. The dissolution of your band means you better get started on your solo album. The dissolution comes from the Latin word dissolutio, meaning a dissolving of something. Dissolution looks very similar to dissolve, so to help you remember the meaning, think about what happens if you put paper in water. It breaks apart. A dissolution of a marriage is the same thing as divorce. Although it sounds like dissolution, if you try to use them interchangeably, your logic will fall apart.
Synonym.
Disintegration, divorce, partition, detachment, disunion.
Antonym.
Combination, construction, solution, unification. Dissonance, অসঙ্গতি, অনৈক্য.
Disagreeable sounds can be called dissonance. You know it's dissonance if you have a strong desire to cover your ears with your hands. Racket, noise, dissonance, all can describe sounds that are not pleasant. While some musicians purposely add a little dissonance into their melodies to create an unexpected sound, others, like someone who just started drum lessons, creates dissonance by accident. Dissonance can also be a conflict between people or opinions, like the dissonance you feel when you want to do something but your parents say no.
Synonym.
Discord, discrepancy, disparity, dissension, incongruity, antagonism.
Antonym.
agreement, concurrence, harmony, concord, consonance, resonance, distend, বিস্তৃত করা, প্রসারিত করা. A soda and pizza binge might make your stomach distend, meaning your stomach will swell as a result of pressure from the inside. The verb distend traces back to the Latin words dis, meaning apart, and tender, meaning to stretch. Your stomach will certainly feel stretched out if you do something, like overeat, that causes it to distend.
Synonym.
Amplify, augment, balloon, blot, dilate, distort, enlarge,
Antonym.
abbreviate, abridge, compress, condense, contract, curtail.
Deterrent.
প্রতিরোধক, প্রতিবন্ধক.
A deterrent makes you not want to do something. Let's say there's a giant pile of cookies being guarded by an angry dog. The dog is a deterrent.
People talk about deterrence most often when discussing crime. The death penalty is supposed to be a deterrent. The idea is that people will be so scared of the death penalty that they won't commit certain crimes.
Teachers also use deterrence. The possibility of getting detention is a deterrent that should encourage students to behave. A deterrent is the opposite of a reward. A reward encourages you to do the right thing, while a deterrent discourages you from doing the wrong thing.
Synonym.
Disincentive, hindrance, obstacle, bridle, check, curb.
Antonym.
Assistance, help, encouragement, catalyst, incentive.
Diatribe.
গালিগালাজ, তীব্র সমালোচনা, আক্রমণ.
It's pretty overwhelming when you ask your friend a seemingly innocuous question, like do you like hot dogs, and she unleashes a diatribe about the evils of eating meat. A diatribe is an angry, critical speech. This noun has its roots in the Greek diatribe, pastime or lecture, from diatribein, to waste time or wear away, combining dia, thoroughly, and tribine, to rub. So the origin of the word diatribe is connected to both serious study and the spending or wasting of time. With most diatribes, the speaker thinks he is well informed and knows something the listener doesn't, while to most listeners the diatribe is so angry and unhinged that it's just a waste of time.
Synonym.
Denunciation, invective, jeremiad, screed, tirade, abuse, castigation.
Antonym.
Compliment, praise, recommendation. Dichotomy.
দ্বিধা বিভক্তি.
A dichotomy is an idea or classification split in two. When you point out a dichotomy, you draw a clear distinction between two things. A dichotomy is a contrast between two things. When there are two ideas, especially two opposed ideas, like war and peace, or love and hate, you have a dichotomy. You often hear about a false dichotomy, which occurs when a situation is unfairly represented as an either-or scenario. Diffidence.
দ্বিধা, অবিশ্বাস, সন্দেহ.
The noun diffidence refers to a lack of self-confidence. Your diffidence might be the reason why you never say hi to the cute guy or gal in the elevator, or why you never ask for a raise. Diffidence comes from the Latin word diffidere, meaning to mistrust or to lack confidence. Diffidence is often mistaken for snootiness because people don't understand that the diffident person is shy and lacking in confidence.
Synonym.
Backwardness, bashfulness, constraint, doubt, fear, hesitation, humility, insecurity.
Antonym.
Boldness, certainty, confidence, courage, pride. Diffuse.
ছড়িয়ে পড়া.
Diffuse means to spread out. Candlelight can diffuse a soft glow throughout a room. A diffuse idea is one that spreads from person to person, and a diffuse speech is scattered and unclear. As a verb, diffuse means to spread something out, but also applies to spreading things such as ideas or culture so that they become widely known. When something is diffused, it's mixed in, and when you drop propaganda pamphlets out of airplanes, you're diffusing the propaganda. The adjective comes from Latin diffusus, from diffundere, to pour in different directions, from the prefix dis apart plus fundere, to pour.
Synonym.
Broadcast, circulated, diluted, dispersed, disseminated, distributed, expanded, extended.
Antonym.
Concentrated, condensed, abbreviated, abridged, brief, compact, compressed, confined. Digression.
어반뜨겁다.
When your essay about French cooking starts describing a childhood trip to Disneyland, it's taken a digression. It's strayed from the main topic. But I digress is a phrase often used by people when they realize they are no longer on topic. A digression is like a tangent, only digression often describes speech patterns, whereas tangent comes to us from mathematics. Another trick to remembering the meaning of digression is its relationship to the word progression. A progression is a series of ideas which proceeds in the same direction. A digression, logically enough, is an idea that goes off in another direction.
Synonym.
Detour, footnote, apostrophe, aside, deflection, departure, divagation, divergence.
Antonym.
Accord, agreement, sameness, similarity, directness, straightness. Dirge.
엉뜨시티 같아.
A dirge is a song of mourning, performed as a memorial to someone who's died. As you might imagine, a dirge is usually quite sad. Another word with a similar meaning that you might know is requiem. The noun dirge comes from the Latin dirige, which means direct, and is the beginning of a prayer that translates as direct my way in your sight, O Lord my God. Dirge can still have a religious meaning, but it can also be any sad and mournful song, poem, or hymn composed or performed in memory of someone who has died.
Synonym.
Elegy, hymn, chant, coronach.
Discrepancy. অসঙ্গতি, অমিল, অনৈক্য. A discrepancy is a lack of agreement or balance. If there is a discrepancy between the money you earned and the number on your paycheck, you should complain to your boss. There is a discrepancy when there is a difference between two things that should be alike. For example, there can be a wide discrepancy or a slight discrepancy between two objects, stories, or facts. The noun discrepancy is from Latin discrepare, to sound differently, from the prefix dis, from plus crepare, to rattle, creak.
Synonym.
Difference, disparity, distinction, divergence, error, inconsistency, miscalculation, variation.
Antonym.
Accord, agreement, alikeness, likeness, sameness, similarity.
Discrete. 비톡, 비줍도, 비묻도.
Discrete means separate or divided. A discrete unit is a separate part of something larger. A room is a discrete space within a house, just as the crankshaft is a discrete part of a car engine. If something is discrete, it has its own space. An ice cube comes from an ice tray, but it has its own discrete compartment. Don't confuse discrete with its close cousin discrete, which means appropriately private.
Billionaire Bruce Wayne, for example, is very discreet about his secret life as Batman. You could say Batman is a discrete, or separate, part of Bruce Wayne's identity. Anything distinct and separated is discrete.
Synonym.
Disconnected, distinct, various, detached, different, discontinuous, diverse.
Antonym.
Connected, similar, attached, combined, joined.
Disingenuous. অযৌক্তিক, অনর্থক, অন্যায্য, অসঙ্গত. The adjective disingenuous is used to describe behavior that's not totally honest or sincere. It's disingenuous when people pretend to know less about something than they really do.
Disingenuous combines dis, meaning not, with ingenuous, from the Latin gen, meaning born, which was originally used to distinguish freeborn Romans from slaves, and later came to mean honest or straightforward. So, disingenuous means dishonest. Ingenuous is less common now than disingenuous, but we still use it for someone who is sincere to the point of naivete. A good synonym is insincere.
Synonym.
Deceitful, dishonest, false, unfair, artful, crooked, cunning.
Antonym.
Fair, frank, just, trustworthy, truthful, ingenuous, naive, sincere, disinterested.
নির্লিপ্ত, বিমুখ, বিরক্ত, বিরাগ. If you can't decide whether to purchase the shirt with orange polka dots or the purple paisley patterned one, you might seek input from a disinterested party who will probably tell you not to buy either one.
Disinterest means having no personal involvement or receiving no personal advantage, and therefore free to act fairly. Disinterested is sometimes used to mean not interested, but many people consider this use to be incorrect.
Synonym.
Aloof, casual, dispassionate, impartial, indifferent, neutral, unbiased.
Antonym.
Biased, concerned, feeling, involved, partial, prejudiced, subjective, interested, passionate, disjointed, বিচ্ছিন্ন, অসংলগ্ন, অসম্পৃক্ত.
Disjointed isn't when you can bend your thumb all the way backward, that's double-jointed. Disjointed means unorganized or disconnected. Disjointed is an adjective that describes something as disconnected, illogical, or just messed up. A disjointed argument is an argument that doesn't make a lot of sense. The same can be said for a disjointed sentence or a disjointed speech. In a medical sense, disjointed means dislocated or separated at the joint. When someone gets injured, they may end up with a disjointed shoulder or a disjointed hip.
Synonym.
Confused, incoherent, jumbled, rambling, disordered, displaced, disunited, divided.
Antonym.
Coherent, connected, contiguous, jointed, ordered, united.
Disparage. অপমান করা, অবজ্ঞা করা. If you haven't got anything nice to say, then it's time to disparage someone. It means to belittle or degrade a person or idea. Disparage is a specific way to describe a certain kind of insult, the kind that secures the insulter's place as superior. It often refers to an opinion or criticism lobbed in print or via word of mouth, not necessarily an act done to someone's face.
Synonym.
Belittle, degrade, degrade, denigrate, deride, ridicule, scorn, slander, vilify.
Antonym.
Admire, approve, commend, compliment, flatter, encourage. Disparate. ভিন্ন অসম বিসদৃশ. The trunk of some people's cars may contain items as disparate as old clothes, rotting food, and possibly a missing relative. Disparate things are very different from each other. The adjective disparate is from Latin disparitas, from dispare to separate, divide, from the prefix dis, apart, plus pair, to prepare. Disparate in the sense of very different, probably developed by association with the Latin adjective dispar, unequal, different.
Synonym.
Contrasting. Discordant. Dissimilar. Distinct. Divergent. Diverse. Various.
Antonym.
Agreeing. Alike. Same. Similar. Uniform. Equal.
Distill. বাষ্পীভূত করে বিশুদ্ধ করা.
When you distill something, you are boiling it down to its essence. Its most important part, whether it's alcohol or ideas, the distilled part is the most powerful. The original meaning of distill comes from the process of making alcohol, known as distilling, in which all the impurities of a substance are vaporized and its pure, high alcohol condensation collected. Distill eventually came to mean any process in which the essence of something is revealed. If you take notes at a lecture and then turn them into an essay for your professor, you're distilling your notes into something more pure and exact.
Synonym.
Condense. Extract. Infuse. Refine. Concentrate.
Antonym.
Dirty. Pour. Pollute. Diverge. অপসারিত করা, বিচ্যুত করা.
When two roads diverge, they split and go in different directions. If your opinion diverged from mine, we do not agree. To diverge means to move apart or be separate. The poet, Robert Frost, wrote, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference." The word diverge in the poem carries both the meaning of separating and of being apart from the main. As a poet, it was Frost's job to use words properly. Here he does not diverge from this role.
Synonym.
Deviate. Radiate. Stray. Veer.
Antonym.
Collect. Combine. Connect. Gather. Join. Straighten. Unite. Devast. অপসারিত করা. অধিকারচ্যুত করা. Devast is sort of a fancy way to say dispose of. It can also be used in the sense of taking something away from someone. Devast today mostly appears in legal and business contexts about a formal removal or loss of something of value. Assets that are divested or sold or given away. Someone divested of a right officially loses that right. In Shakespeare's Henry V, the French King Charles is told by a messenger that England's King Henry wills you, in the name of God Almighty, that you divest yourself, and lay apart the crown and all woodistrached honors that pertain.
Synonym.
Bankrupt. Deprive. Dismantle. Rob. Unload. Bear. Berave.
Antonym.
Give. Offer. Clothe. Cover. Keep. Maintain. Possess. Dogmatic. উদ্ধত, যুক্তিপ্রমাণ ব্যতিরেকে উপস্থাপিত.
To be dogmatic is to follow a set of rules no matter what. The rules might be religious, philosophical, or made up, but dogmatic people would never waver in their beliefs, so don't even think of trying to change their minds. Dogmatic goes back to the Greek words dogma, which means basically what one thinks is true, and dogmaticos, pertaining to doctrine. To be dogmatic is to follow a doctrine relating to morals and faith, a set of beliefs that is passed down and never questioned. It also refers to arrogant opinions based on unproven theories or even despite facts. Someone dogmatic might insist that dinosaurs never existed or that women shouldn't drive.
Synonym.
Arbitrary. Arrogant. Assertive. Emphatic. Fanatical. intolerant, obstinate, stubborn, unequivocal, bigoted,
Antonym.
ambiguous, equivocal, impartial, indefinite, vague, dormant, supto অন্তর্নিহিত অপ্রচলিত. That old dog was dormant for so long he was confused for a furry doormat. But a doormat is likely to stay dormant, or inactive, because it is lifeless. That old dog has some life in him yet. Volcanoes are described as dormant when they stay cool for a long time, without spewing hot lava and ash. They may have the ability to come to life, but they remain dormant, or inactive. Dormant comes from French dormir, to sleep, and it refers to living things that are on a break rather than things that have died. Being dormant is being temporarily at rest.
Synonym.
Asleep, comatose, inert, inoperative, latent, passive, sidelined, sluggish,
Antonym.
active, alert, awake, conscious, lively. Dope, protarna.
Dupe actually means trick or deceive. We're sorry we tried to dupe you into believing the wrong definition. Dupe can also refer to the victim of a trick or hoax, and, used in this sense, it sometimes conveys the idea that the victim is easily fooled. Dupe comes from the French word for a type of bird called the hoopoe, which has an extravagant crest and a reputation for being dim-witted.
Synonym.
Patsy, sitting duck, butt, chump, fool,
Antonym.
cognizant.
Usage examples.
We were duped into thinking the dummy was a real alien.